Welcome to the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast. My name is Katie Dodd, and I'm a nutrition entrepreneur. I spent 7 years as a side hustler before diving into entrepreneurship full time. Before making the leap, I was bringing in 6 figures through my side hustle. If I can do it, you can too. This podcast is for dietitians, interns, and students who want to be inspired to start or perfect the side hustle of their dreams. Let's do this. Hello and welcome to the 170th episode of the Dietitian Side Hustle podcast, Resources for Dietitians. I'm so excited to invite to the podcast today, Rochelle Inwood. Rochelle is an amazing dietitian and entrepreneur. We actually knew each other from a little bit of a different world through volunteering with the Oregon Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics for a season. She lives in Oregon like I do. We're on opposite sides of the state, but still super fun to have someone who's, from my neck of the woods. And I've had the opportunity to connect with Rochelle in person. We collaborate behind the scenes. She's in the Blogging Accelerator program. She's an amazing dietitian, and the work that she is doing to really support and build up dietitians has been so amazing. So I invited her on the podcast because I wanted to talk to her. I wanted her to talk to you guys a little bit more about what she does and how she can help you all. So I guess first off, Rochelle, would you like to maybe introduce yourselves, tell our audience a little bit more about who you are, maybe a little bit of your story?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, congratulations on 170 episodes. Kudos. That's awesome. Kudos. My name is Rochelle Inwood. I am a registered dietitian and exercise physiologist. And my story really did start in the area of exercise. I thought that I was going to be a physical therapist, and I went to school. My undergrad was in that. I started volunteering with a physical therapist, and I was like, shoot, I want to do something more preventative in nature. So I got my personal training certificate and started training at a local gym. And what do you think all my clients asked me? What do I
Nutrition.
eat?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, and I got really, really frustrated with thinking that all I could tell people to eat was oatmeal for breakfast, protein shake, and then some rice and broccoli and chicken, right? And I didn't want to eat that way. So I thought, what am I going to do? And it just became this natural progression. I said, I'm going to go back and get my master's. And while I was there, they were like, do you want to become a registered dietitian? And I said, sure, what's that? So again, a natural progression really drew me into the world of dietetics. And I loved the combination of nutrition and exercise. So my master's is in nutrition and exercise. And then I was delighted to move to Chicago, which is again another connection. We have that connection of Illinois, you and I, for our internships and our work. And I worked at the Hines VA hospital through my internship and had that wonderful opportunity. And then I worked there for about 9 years before moving back to Oregon. And throughout all my time with the VA, really a lot of what we work on, and what as well, is we focus on patient education materials, trying to make sure that we really are aligning with like their reading level and making sure that the information is appropriate and correct for them. And so that's always been something that's been ingrained in me. I worked for the MOVE program for 4 years, and the MOVE program is a weight management program for veterans. And I pulled in exercise and nutrition and started developing a lot of materials there. And so design is kind of part of that too. So I love it. So all of this really transitioned to the dietitian resource, because what I'm always hearing, even when I was at the VA, is dietitians want to know more. We want to know everything that we can so we can better serve our patients, but we don't have the time. And so it was one of those things. My dream, even within the VA, was building out ready-made courses and curriculum so all of us could practice at the height of our license. So if somebody came in and they were, a specialist in cancer, but if they had questions about, let's say, sleep and nutrition, then they would have access to those resources so they could actually address those questions instead of saying, I don't know. So that's just a little bit about me, that transition from exercise, nutrition, then dietetics, and then really circling back again to really encompass all of it so I can share that and help everybody become better.
Yeah. And that's so fun. I didn't realize that you were initially planning to be a PT. And I feel like both of us are kind of in different worlds with PTs as well as we've, gone on our business journey.
Right.
And yes, another thing we have in common, in addition to Oregon, is the VA. We both worked at the VA for quite a while and then left to become entrepreneurs. But
Yes.
one thing the VA did do very well was educational materials and resources. You're absolutely right, and I love that they did that. But it's something you don't necessarily see outside of the VA world. So let's dive a little bit into resources. And I know it's kind of a broad term, but how would you describe like what are resources for people who are listening? Like,
Oh,
what are we talking about?
great question. So within my dream, my vision is to start one with done for you handouts. So handouts are one of those things where we as dietitians, we want to have ready-made resources for our patients. So when we're talking about something, it's just like, well, here you go. We've talked about this. This is reinforcing those concepts. Take this home and, put this on their fridge as just a reminder. So that is one area of resource. The other area of resource is nutrition presentations, because we're moving into a virtual world, right? And everybody is, seeing the screens. And so when you're talking to a patient, they may be a visual learner and they may need to be seeing something on the screen. So part of my resource platform is creating done for you presentations that have all of the information in them as well. So if you are educating somebody that needs that visual, you can actually dive into a presentation at that time, which is really, really nice.
Yeah.
And it has the notes in there, all of those things. I also have written a book called The Keto Conversation, because I know a lot of dietitians get questions from their patients and their providers about what is low carb, what is keto, what are all of those things. So I did a deep dive into a lot of that information and put together the Keto Conversation as well. And then I have some fun little goodies too. So I have some dietitian notebooks on my website as well. So that, I think the resource piece can be a little bit of, the handouts, the nutrition presentations, even courses, books, all the likes. It's across the gamut, and I'm going to keep going.
Also, resources is just this broad way of saying resources to help you in your business, to help you working with clients, to help you in whatever you might be doing. So let's talk a little bit more about the why. Why would someone want to purchase these done for you resources? Like, what are some of the benefits for people, whether or not they're working a full-time job or a side hustler or a full-time entrepreneur?
Great question. A lot of it has to do with the way we feel as people, right? So many of us have families, many of us have interests outside of work, and many of us have a list that is really, really big. And what I hear dietitians say a lot is that I am so overwhelmed with all of the things that I need to make, with all of the things that I need to build out. And I want to be able to better care for my patients and my clients and my family, but I can't do it all. I'm so overwhelmed. And many of them have a really hard time asking for help. Have you experienced that too?
Yes,
It's like,
absolutely. Want to do it all ourselves.
that's right. I'm independent. I can do it all. And we can, but it's just going to take a long time. And so my goal is to really save dietitians a ton of time, reduce that stress, allow them to have beautifully created materials that they would actually be something that they could create or even better than what they'd create, because really that's what I love to do, is create these beautiful visually appealing presentations that have a really nice flow, and then have them just peacefully take those materials and then go in with their clients into their sessions and be able to have that confidence to do all of it. And that is the relief that I want to offer dietitians. So they are not having to do all this themselves.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a really good point. It's like we sometimes try to wear all the hats. We try to do all the things, but what these done for you resources do is it takes something off of their plate. It's something less to worry about. And I know I speak to some dietitians and they're like, I'm just not creative enough. That's okay. Focus on your strengths.
That's
Use
right.
resources like this. And your resources are available for white labeling too. Is that correct?
That is totally correct. So I have
Can
a
you maybe
two.
explain what that means for people who might not know?
You got it. Great. So white label means that you can make it your own. So if you prefer like a PowerPoint presentation, you can actually download the PowerPoint presentation in its original form and you can modify it. You can add slides to it. You can add your own stuff to it. It's yours to do with what you want. Handouts are created in Canva, so you get the template link. You can modify it however you want to. Let's say that there's certain language that you wanted to add into the handout. You could do that because again, the goal is for you to be able to make it your own, not just have something where you're printing off a PDF. I do have PDFs as well, but not that you're just printing off that PDF and then you have to cross things out or handwrite stuff in, and you're still trying to figure out how to make it your own. So I do have PDFs. They are the lower cost option. And then I have the white label, which is again, making it your own, having it, you can add your own branding onto it. You can change the colors of everything. You can really make it your own. And that's a really great benefit to all of this as well,
Yeah.
because then it's yours.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love that part about what you do. It's like you've got the lower ticket, the PDFs, but then you do have those white labels available. Someone can slap their logo on it, tweak it, change it as they want, or change it over time because sometimes things change based on
That's right.
science, based on how we practice. So I love that option for people. So let's talk about how someone could get more information about these resources you've created.
Yeah, so if you're still wanting to learn a little bit more about what I do have a couple places that you can get in touch with me. I'll start with like the social media part and then direct you to my website. But I do have a Facebook group and it is called the Dietitian Resource Community. And each week I have a live and I either share a time saving tip because really that's ultimately my goal is to save you time. So it's the time saving tips on the live, or I bring in a live guest, such as Katie, because again, she's going to save you a ton of time with dreams that you may have as well. So my goal is to link dietitians up with either the business time saving tips as resources from the Dietitian Resource or with other professionals that can save you time as well. So the Dietitian Resource community, come on in, say hi. I'd love to have you. And then I'm also on Instagram and on Facebook as well at the Dietitian Resource. So you can follow me there. And then my website is the Dietitian Resource. So you can check that out. There is a page for freebies that you can download because I want folks to have access to things like that. And then you also have access to the shop where those PDFs and those white label products are available for you as well.
Awesome. Well, I will put those the links in the show notes, and definitely everyone needs to go join Rochelle's Facebook group. She really serves her audience well, so it's a great place to get free trainings from Rochelle, additional information. So be sure to join her Facebook group. It is growing fast, and check out her website. Freebies are amazing, and then check out her shop because really these resources for dietitians are going to save you time. They're going to save you money. It's going to help your clients, and the fact that they're done for you, you can make them your own, worth every penny. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Rochelle. I'm sure I'll have to have you come back later and we could dive into maybe some specific areas, but I thought this was a really wonderful high level review of resources. So any final words before we wrap things up?
I just want to remind everybody that you do not have to do all of these things yourself. Look for resources, look for folks that have done this already before you, that they can save you a ton of time and reduce your stress load. You can do this, absolutely, but we're here to help.
100%. Thanks so much, Rochelle.
Thank you, Katie. Have a good day.